In the quiet heart of Sweden lies a family whose name rarely reaches headlines, yet their shadow stretches across the world. They control industries worth billions, influence governments, shape economies, and quietly touch the lives of almost everyone on this planet. But chances are you've never heard of them. Over 6 generations, the Wallenberg family has mastered one thing better than anyone else: the power of staying invisible. While other wealthy dynasties flaunt private jets, mega yachts, and diamond-studded lifestyles, the Wallenbergs prefer silence. No glamorous public displays, no loud interviews, no hunger for fame. Yet behind that silence hides an empire. An empire tied to companies like AstraZeneca, Ericsson, NASDAQ powerhouses, aviation, defense, banking, and technology firms that quietly shape the modern world. They have rescued thousands from Nazi persecution, and at the same time they also financed Nazi Germany's machinery. They played both sides, allies and enemies, and emerged from every storm stronger. So who are these people? How did 6 generations build a kingdom hidden in plain sight? And how can one family control so much power without ever being seen? The answer begins in the mid-1800s. Sweden wasn't the rich, innovative nation you imagine today. Back then, it was struggling, full of ideas but short on one critical thing: money. Enter André Oskar Wallenberg, a young naval officer returning from the United States. Fired up by what he'd seen abroad, he came back with a vision. A single book changed his life. A book about how banks can build nations. In 1856, he founded Stockholm's Enskilda Bank, Sweden's first private bank. It was revolutionary. Until then, Swedes had only one place to borrow: the central bank. No competition, no innovation, no engine for growth. André introduced a new idea: collect savings from ordinary people and reinvest them into the nation's industries. Money began circulating. Business boomed. Sweden started transforming. But André didn't get to finish this mission alone. His son, Knut "Nut" Wallenberg, took over and took the bank global. SCB became a powerhouse. And Knut wasn't just expanding a bank, and he was laying the foundation of a dynasty. Yet fate threw a curveball. A new law stopped banks from owning industrial shares. Most families would panic. The Wallenbergs innovated. In 1916, they created Investor AB, a holding company that would become the backbone of their future empire. This was the beginning of something far bigger than a bank. Knut and his wife Alice had no children. Instead of dividing their fortune among heirs, they poured everything into Sweden. They funded city development, universities, and groundbreaking research. In 1917, they created the Knut and Alice Wallenberg Foundation, a move that protected their wealth and permanently tied it to national power. Their thinking wasn't just rich, it was genius. With foundations, their money couldn't be scattered across generations. It stayed concentrated, protected, growing quietly. While Knut shaped policy as Sweden's foreign minister, the family torch passed to his half-brother, Marcus Wallenberg Sr. Marcus was not a man of luxury. No extravagant suits, no fancy lifestyle. He wore jackets until they literally flipped inside out from wear. His obsession was simple: build the empire. And he did. He guided monumental companies like ABB, Norsk Hydro, Scania, Atlas Diesel, now Atlas Copco, Stora Enso, and more. After World War I, when Europe was drowning in chaos, Marcus became one of the continent's most trusted negotiators. But his biggest shock came from within his own family. He expected to inherit everything. Instead, Knut had already locked the fortune inside foundations. Marcus felt cheated, betrayed, but time proved otherwise, and that decision saved the dynasty. If the wealth had been split, the Wallenbergs might be forgotten today. Instead, they became almost untouchable. Yet the true test of this family was still ahead. The world marched toward its darkest era, World War II. Marcus's sons, Jacob Wallenberg and Marcus Wallenberg Jr., stepped into power. Jacob led SEB Bank through the Great Depression and into the storm of war. Sweden was officially neutral, but the Wallenbergs walked a razor-thin line. They traded with both the Allies and Nazi Germany. And behind this quiet neutrality lay a dangerous game: banking operations that allegedly helped move Nazi-looted assets and finance parts of Hitler's war machine. Yet as shocking as this sounds, the story isn't that simple. Because while they supported Germany economically, the Wallenbergs also secretly worked with resistance groups trying to overthrow Hitler. And then came a hero, a name history remembers: Raoul Wallenberg, the diplomat who risked everything to save thousands of Jews in Hungary. But his fate would become the darkest mystery in this dynasty's history. And that's just the beginning. Jacob Wallenberg became Sweden's key link to Nazi Germany. On paper, it looked like neutrality, business as usual. But beneath the polished walls of boardrooms and diplomatic halls, another reality brewed. A reality that history still debates. SEB Bank, the Wallenberg Bank, allegedly helped move Nazi assets, including wealth stolen from Jewish victims across Europe. Officially, Sweden stood neutral. Unofficially, the Wallenbergs walked a tightrope suspended over the fire of global war. They traded with the Third Reich and worked with the Allies at the same time. It was not loyalty, it was survival and power. And yet, in the middle of this morally gray chess game, the Wallenbergs were also secretly helping German resistance leaders plan to overthrow Hitler. Jacob Wallenberg even met with resistance commander Karl Goerdeler in 1943, a man preparing a coup that could have rewritten history. But that mission exploded the day the famous 20th of July plot failed. The bomb went off, Hitler lived, the resistance fell, Goerdeler was executed, messengers died. Jacob Wallenberg's cover was blown, and he never returned to Germany again. This family wasn't just sitting in boardrooms, they were playing among lions. Meanwhile, another Wallenberg, Jacob's nephew Raoul Wallenberg, stepped into one of the darkest corners of Europe, Nazi-occupied Budapest. Raoul wasn't a banker, he wasn't chasing power. He was chasing lives, trying to save as many Jewish men, women, and children as possible before Hitler erased them. Armed with forged Swedish passports, bribes, bluff, and unimaginable courage, Raoul pulled people off death trains, stopped forced marches, and intercepted Nazi guards in broad daylight. He created safe houses. He negotiated directly with SS officers. He threatened, he pleaded. He saved tens of thousands. When Nazis prepared to slaughter the last 70,000 Jews trapped in the Budapest ghetto, Raoul confronted them and stopped the massacre. He should have come home a national hero. Instead, the Soviets arrested him in 1945, accusing him of espionage. He vanished into a Soviet prison system and never returned. Decades later, the USSR claimed he died of a heart attack in 1947. No evidence, no grave, no closure. To this day, his fate remains one of history's most painful mysteries. And while Raoul disappeared into darkness, controversy swallowed the Wallenberg name. In 1945, American forces uncovered bank records linking SEB to Nazi-controlled assets. The U.S. froze Wallenberg accounts and listed them as special blocked nationals, a diplomatic scar no powerful family wants. Inside Sweden, whispers turned into accusations. People asked the question out loud: were the Wallenbergs patriots protecting Sweden, or profiteers protecting themselves? History still struggles with that answer. While the scandal echoed, Jacob Wallenberg stepped down as CEO in 1946, ending one era and passing the torch to his brother Marcus Wallenberg Jr. Marcus was nothing like the villains whispered about in war rumors. He was quiet, disciplined, relentless, a strategist who rebuilt everything brick by brick. He expanded industrial giants. He transformed Atlas Diesel into Atlas Copco, one of the world's most powerful engineering companies. He backed Sweden's defense industry, including the Saab fighter jets. Behind closed doors, Marcus brokered deals with the Soviets, even as Raoul was still missing. Was it diplomacy? Was it cold-blooded pragmatism? Or was it both? No one knows. For 50 years, Marcus Jr. kept the family empire stable through the Cold War, global recessions, and shifting world power. Yet the greatest test wasn't political, it was personal. Marcus Jr. had two sons, Mark and Peter Wallenberg. Mark was brilliant, the chosen heir. Everything about his life was designed to prepare him to lead the dynasty. He merged Swedish banks, steered major deals, and carried the full pressure of a family legacy that the world never sees but everyone feels. Then, in 1971, at just 47 years old, Mark Wallenberg took his own life. The shock rippled through Sweden. A prince of a silent empire, gone. The future of the dynasty suddenly fell to his younger brother Peter, the man no one expected to lead. He wasn't groomed for power. He wasn't the golden child. Peter had started at the bottom, in Africa, doing field work for Atlas Copco. He built his own path, quietly, stubbornly, outside the spotlight. His father barely believed in him. Investors doubted him. Even the family wasn't sure. But when the moment came, Peter stepped forward, alone, unprepared, but unbreakable. And like every Wallenberg before him, he made his own rules. Peter modernized the empire. He pushed companies global. He bought back strategic assets from Volvo. He launched Patricia Industries, solidifying investor AB's reach. He did what no one expected. He not only protected the dynasty, he expanded it. He proved that the Wallenberg legacy doesn't favor the loudest, the richest, or the chosen. It favors the one who refuses to break. And by the time the world realized what he'd done, the next generation was already ready to take over. But power, no matter how enormous, always meets a moment of reckoning. For John D. Rockefeller, that reckoning arrived not with violence or protest, but in a courtroom. By the early 1900s, the US government could no longer ignore the empire Standard Oil had become. It controlled pipelines, refineries, shipping routes, rail rates, and most dangerously, public dependency. The Sherman Antitrust Act gave the government a weapon, and they were ready to swing it. Courtroom after courtroom echoed with accusations. Market manipulation, secret railroad rebates, forcing competitors into bankruptcy, using fear instead of fair play. Witnesses spoke of a company so powerful, even judges hesitated to stand against it. Newspapers called Rockefeller the most feared businessman in America. And for the first time, the world saw cracks forming in the empire he had built so methodically. But John D. Rockefeller? He stayed calm, even smiling at times. To him, competition was chaos. Consolidation was logic. He didn't see himself as a villain. He saw himself as order. The Supreme Court's hammer. In 1911, the judgment finally came. The U.S. Supreme Court delivered a blow heard around the business world. Standard Oil must be broken up. 34 companies would emerge from the ashes. Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, Amoco, Conoco, Marathon. Names that still dominate the energy world over a century later. The government thought it had ended Rockefeller's power. Ironically, it made him richer. The breakup turned Standard Oil shares into shares across all 34 companies, and as they exploded in value, so did his fortune. Within a few years, John D. Rockefeller became the richest man in modern history, wealthier than kings, queens, and empires. The world tried to cage him, and instead helped him soar. From oil baron to saint, but here comes a twist. One history rarely handles gently. The same man who once crushed competitors with aggression now began giving away his wealth with breathtaking speed and scale. Rockefeller turned his focus from profit to legacy. He built institutions that would change the world. The Rockefeller Foundation University of Chicago, Rockefeller University Spelman College. He funded medical research, vaccination programs, public education reforms, polio, yellow fever, hookworm, diseases that once crippled societies, attacked with Rockefeller money. Millions learned to read because of his schools. Millions lived longer because of his medical programs. Those who once called him a robber baron now struggled to define him. Villain? Visionary? Both? Maybe greatness and darkness always walk together. A life above time. John D. Rockefeller lived to see automobiles replace horses and airplanes conquer the sky. He lived through the rise of electricity, radio, global trade. In an era where the average man worked until his bones broke, Rockefeller lived to 98 years old. People asked him his secret. He smiled and shifted his hat, perfectly placed, as always, and answered with humor. Work hard, then give away all you can. He began life in poverty. He ended it with wealth nations couldn't count. But beyond the money, beyond the oil, beyond the headlines, he left behind something far more enduring. A blueprint for modern capitalism. Mergers, monopolies, vertical integration, share structures, corporate philanthropy, public relations strategy. Every major corporation today walks a path he carved in the dirt, with nothing but ambition and calculation. Legacy of a giant. Even now, debate rages. Was Rockefeller the ruthless king who strangled competition? Or the visionary who built modern industry and cured diseases? Did he poison capitalism or perfect it? Walk into any city lit by energy pipelines. Visit a university funded by philanthropy. Look at the balance sheets of global corporations. You will see his fingerprints everywhere. The world we live in is a world John D. Rockefeller engineered. Love him, hate him, study him, fear him. But you cannot ignore him. Final words. He began with a single idea. Control the oil and you control the future. And he did. He reshaped wealth. He redefined power. He forced governments to evolve, not through war, not through conquest, but through strategy sharper than steel. John D. Rockefeller didn't just change history. He rewrote the rules for anyone who would ever dream of building an empire. History doesn't reveal its secrets easily. Like, subscribe, and stay with Pastify Hub for more untold legends of the past.